and we're with Harris County Precinct 4 Encore. Welcome to our very first Encore excursion. We are here at the Houston Zoo where the animals are wild to meet you. Let's get going.
Okay, so today we're here with Sophie, who's the sea lion zookeeper. And can you tell us a little bit about your friend splashing around in here this morning?
Absolutely. So like Lindsay said, I'm Sophie. I'm actually the supervisor here at the Sea Lion Department at the Houston Zoo. And right now we have all of our sea lions that have access to this exhibit pool and also back up into their holding area so they can choose where they want to go. We have 5 California sea lions here ranging from age 3 up to 23. And so the big splashes that you guys are seeing are actually from our 4-year-old TJ. She was born in 2016 and she is an extremely playful animal. All sea lions are very playful, especially when they're pups. They have extremely curious and big personalities. And TJ has actually created her own game. If you guys look right over here, these are the 2 siblings. So these guys are half siblings. Jonah, our dominant male, is their father, and they have different moms. Lounging there on the ramp, that's Max. And there is, oop, I was wrong. That's TJ. And Max is actually down underneath there. They're getting so close in size now that it can be tricky to tell them apart. However, having worked with them for their entire lives, usually how I can tell them apart is going to be the shape of their face. TJ has a longer, more pointy face, and she's a little bit longer and more slender. As a male, Max has got a little bit more bulk to him, and has got a little bit more of a block head. And we say that with all of the love in our hearts. And TJ splashes around. That's the game that she created for herself. She loves playing with hose spray. So she found out when she was just a little pup that she could lay on her back and splash with her big front flippers and create splashes and then catch them in her mouth. So she loves it. The guests love it because they can get splashed by her on a nice warm day. And the pups will swim and do backflips and porpoising, and they love interacting with each other. So it's a lot of fun when they're on exhibit. Our 3 other sea lions. So Jonah is our dominant male. He's 23. All our sea lions' birthdays are in the summertime. It's very common for sea lions to be born between mid-May and mid-July. So we've got Jonah, who's our dominant male. And then we have our 2 adult females, Callie and Camilla, who are half-sisters. And they've been here since they were about 9 to 10 months old. So they've been here since they were really little. Jonah actually moved here as an adult in 2013 from another facility in California. And he moved here to Houston to be the dad to our baby sea lions and come and live with us here. So sea lions, their life expectancy in the wild, let's start with human care. So when they're in human care, they're going to live into their late 20s or early 30s. It's going to be about 5 to 10 years less in the wild. And that's because here, when they're at the zoo or in good human care, they have veterinarians taking care of them, they have no predators, and they know where every single meal is coming from. And we're very, very strict as far as regulations for what we feed these guys. They get restaurant grade quality fish. All of the fish we feed here at the Houston Zoo is sustainably sourced and sustainably caught. And then every single morning, we sort through every single fish and we look it over and we check, we have certain guidelines and we check every single one when we're prepping their diets. And these guys eat about 10 to 20 pounds of fish per sea lion every day.
see we have Heather over here also. Can y'all tell us a little bit about some of your friends?
Absolutely. This is Joshua. He's a Maasai giraffe. He's the only adult male that we have here at the Houston Zoo. So he is our breeding bull. So his job here is to make lots of babies. And that is exactly what he's done with Bobby over there. All right, so this is baby Bobby. He's not such a baby anymore. He's about 9 feet tall, but we still call him a baby. So he is only about 1 year old. He's right at the beginning of his life. In zoos, the median lifespan for giraffe is about 15 years old. In the wild, it's significantly shorter. So they do live a lot longer in human care than they do out in the wild, because here they don't have to worry about predators or injury or droughts and starvation. So they live a pretty cushy life here. Means they can live to be a little bit longer. They can even sometimes live into their 20s. On average though, the females live a lot longer than the males. The males are just a little bit bigger, and so things wear out on them just a little bit faster. He's kind of being weaned right now. Mom's feeding him less and less. He's beginning to eat solid food more and more. And eventually, by the time he's 1 year old, actually 1 year old, he will be fully weaned and independent from mom. He probably won't reach his full height until anywhere between 5 and 10 though. He's got several more years of growing to do.
Giraffe has their own unique spot pattern. They're born with it, it never changes, and it's unique to them. So it's very similar to humans' fingerprints. So because of that, we can actually use their spot patterns to identify them in zoos and also in the wild. And those spots are actually probably to help with heat exchange. Having the light fur right next to the dark fur creates kind of a thermal gradient across that pattern, and it lets them release heat from their bloodstream out into the environment. And it helps them control their own body temperature. So these guys live somewhere where it is usually hot, but it can get cold, so that's an important ability for them to be able to control their own internal temperature. Giraffes have some really cool adaptations. Joshua's displaying some of them now. They have very long prehensile tongues that are very dark in color. Let's see if we can get him to stick his tongue out a little bit. You can do it. There we go. So those tongues can be anywhere from a foot to a foot and a half long by the time they're adults. And they use them to grasp branches. There we go. And pull food into their mouth. Giraffes don't actually have front teeth on their upper jaw. They just have them on the lower jaw. So they don't really bite into things the way that we as humans would bite into a hamburger. Instead, they use that big long tongue to wrap around something and then pull it into the back of their mouth, where they then grind up that food with their molars. So that tongue is very important to how giraffes live. They also have the largest eyeballs of any land animal. So they have very good eyesight. Because they are so tall, they can see very far. You gotta finish doing the stick bite. Another cool adaptation that they have are these horn-like protrusions on his head. They're actually not true horns. They're called ossicones because they have fur on them. You can see they're very fuzzy. They've got lots of fur. True horns aren't covered by any kind of fur. So giraffes are one of the only species on the planet that have ossicones. And you can see the males and the females do both have them. Males use those when they spar with other males for the rights to breed to a female that's in the area. When they're not sparring with each other though, giraffes are pretty amiable creatures. Herds are found of all shapes and sizes with both genders. There is no like alpha giraffe male, that's not a thing. All the males and females just kind of live together and move about. Giraffe herds are actually very fluid in the wild. You don't necessarily find the same giraffe with each other day after day after day. It's called a fusion society because there's a lot of kind of breaking apart and coming together as they move about their space.
So as you guys have seen, Joshua here absolutely loves his lettuce. It is one of his favorite foods that he gets. Now that is part of the diet that we feed here to our giraffes. Every single day they're going to get an entire case of romaine heads. So that's about 24 heads of romaine that's shared between our entire giraffe herd every single day. And he absolutely loves it. Right now he is missing out on feeding all of our guests here at the zoo. We typically do 2 giraffe feedings every single day, where people get to come up and meet Joshua and feed him lots of his favorite snacks like this romaine.
Well, thank you for joining us here with the giraffes at the Houston Zoo. Thank you for supporting the Houston Zoo. Whenever you do support us here, you're helping save animals in the wild. So thank you. And thank y'all so much for introducing us to these magnificent animals. We're happy to do it.
favorite animal, the elephants, and we have Miss Savannah and Kristen that's going to tell us a little bit more about them.
Okay, so Kristen and I are both keepers here, so our sole job is to take care of these guys behind us. So this big elephant here on the left is Tess. She's one of our two moms. She's 36 years old. Next to her is her youngest daughter, Tilly, who will be 2 years old tomorrow, June 17th. And then kind of in the background, I don't know if you can see, that's Tupelo. That would be Tess's other daughter. She's 9 years old. And then Tilly and Tupelo were both born here at the Houston Zoo. And then we have one elephant kind of by the door. Her name is Mitai. She's our oldest female. She's what we call our matriarch. So she's kind of in charge of our herd here. She kind of leads the herd and keeps them in line. And she's 51 years old. So she's our oldest female. And then we do have 4 other elephants out here right now. So we have our other mom. Her name is Shanti. And then with her are her youngest daughter, Joy, who will be 3 next month. So for elephants, their trunk plays a major role in their lives. So it kind of acts like an arm for them. It allows them to reach food off of the ground, high out of trees. They do eat a lot of like tree branches and leaves, so it helps them with that. And it also helps them to drink water, because it's kind of hard sometimes for them to get their mouth to a water source. So it's easy for them to just stick their trunk in a pool of water or a drinker and be able to suck that water up, and then they spray it into their mouths. Yeah, so they nurse for about 2 to 3 years, kind of depending on the mom. So she is still nursing. Our 6 youngest elephants were all born here in our zoo. So both of the little ones behind me, so Tilly and Tupelo, as well as Joy and Nelson, who are both the son and daughter of Shawnee, who are on the other side of our yard right now. And then Shawnee came from another zoo before she came here to our zoo in Houston. And then we do have Thailand out here. He's our big male. He also came from a private owner before coming to Houston. And he's our oldest elephant. Today is actually his birthday. He's 55 years old now. And he spent the majority of his life here in Houston, so he's been here since 1980. So he's one of our longest residents. So Tess here originally came from a private owner before she came to our zoo. It was her and her son Tucker, which is one of our males that we keep in our other yard. We have 11 elephants in total here at the Houston Zoo, and all of our elephants are Asian elephants. There's 2 different types. There's Asian elephants and African elephants. Some of the differences, biggest one kind of being is their size. So these guys are a little bit smaller than what African elephants would be. And another way to tell the difference is that by their ears. So these guys, they have really big ears, but African elephants, they have ears about 3 times the size, and they kind of look like the shape of Africa. Another major thing is you can see on these elephants behind me, they don't have tusks, the big ivory tusks that a lot of people think of when they think of elephants. And that's because these are all females. So with the Asian elephants, only the males will grow tusks, which you'll be able to see on our big male Thailand, and as well as our 3 younger males. And then all the females won't have it, but whereas African elephants, you can see tusks on both males and females. So that's kind of the biggest major differences between the two. Another kind of cool thing about Asian elephants is as they age, they actually lose the pigmentation, the color in their faces. So if you look at Tessa's trunk here and her ears and the top of her head, it's kind of pink spotted. So as they get older, they get more and more of that pink color on their face. And that's something that only happens with the Asian elephants, not with the African elephants. So Nelson is our youngest elephant here at the Houston Zoo. He was born on May 12th of this year, so he's just over a month old. He kind of had a little bit of a rough start, had some issues at birth, but our vet staff and our elephant team took really good care of him, worked really quick, and he's doing amazing right now. He weighs in at over 400 pounds already, so he's growing quite fast. So he is, like I said, he's our youngest. And then Thailand would be our oldest elephant, and he's 55 today. And so in the wild, their life expectancy would be about 45 to 50 years. But under human care in zoos and places, they can live into their 60s, even sometimes their early 70s, just because of their good health care and feeding and things like that.